Hey, all my Capricorn friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your June 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Capricorn, I'm referring to Capricorn rising. This is also applicable to Capricorn sun and moon, as well as if you have a stellium, which is 3 or more personal planets in the sign of Capricorn, this video is also applicable to you. When I refer to a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. The month starts off pretty easily. We see that we've got this cluster of planets in Gemini. We've got Jupiter that's just entered Gemini. Gemini is your 6th house of work, health, and service. Venus is here, as well as the Sun, and they're making a favorable aspect to both the North Node, as well as Jupiter is making a trine aspect to Pluto. This feels very favorable to me. Pluto is in your 2nd house of possessions, of self-worth, of money that you make through your skills and through your personal endeavors. The idea that Pluto is retrograde, it's going to go back into your 1st house in September, spend about a month there before it goes direct again, and then stays in Aquarius until 2046, I believe it is, 2044. So you're going to see a lot of transformation in the house of your possessions, in your self-worth, in how you express yourself, how you, when I say express, the 2nd house rules your voice. And when you're demonstrating your skills, you're expressing yourself. Now, to me, I'm a numbers gal. So I immediately noticed that the sun is at 11 degrees, Venus is at 10 degrees, Jupiter is at 1 degree, and then this trine aspect to Pluto at 1 degree. That's 4 ones, 5. Actually, that's 5 ones. That is a call to me to be aware of my thoughts, that my thoughts are things and they're manifesting very quickly. So what do I want my thoughts to be focused on? Because that's what I'm going to experience. And I think that's what Pluto has been doing in your 1st house since 2008, is rewriting your sense of self and how you want to live your life. Your ruling planet is going to go retrograde at the end of this month, and it is only going to move maybe a degree and a half through all of June. So your ruling planet in the sign of Pisces in your 3rd house of how you think, how you speak, the people you interact with in your neighborhood, in your community, the roadways that you drive on. This is all going to come up for review during this retrograde. And I think that the idea that Saturn is essentially, Saturn is not picking the lane for you, Capricorn. Saturn is just asking you to be dedicated beyond your own emotional comfort to your endeavor. So I think that this is very powerful because oftentimes the human does not manifest on their own desires, but on what they think others will approve. And this is where I think the rewrite comes in. We also see that Pluto is making a beautiful sextile to Neptune. Neptune is going to retrograde one more time before it moves into Aries in 2025. And this to me is really applying the spiritual principles of being aware of my thoughts are things. The 29 reduces down to an 11. 11 is the master number of thought. So it's just all over the place here for me. We're also going to see Jupiter expanding things inside of your Gemini energy, inside of your work house. And I want to offer it this way because while Jupiter is in detriment in Gemini, Jupiter is a natural traveler. A planet in detriment is when they're in the furthest sign from their home. And Sagittarius is the natural home of Jupiter. And yet, so is Pisces. So I don't know if I personally, as an intuitive astrologer, feel that Jupiter is really that compromised in Gemini. You know, we see a sextile energy here to the Pisces energy. So I think that this is more about exploring my everyday activities, rewriting my philosophies and ideologies about what I want in my workplace, how I want to be of service to others. And I believe for Capricorn specifically, that because of the restriction that your sign represents, that your evolution, your awareness, your new choices represent the greatest service you could possibly give to others, which is to follow your heart and allow yourself to enjoy this physical journey as it was meant to be. Now, there is one little challenge this day where we see Mars has been in its rulership and having conversation with Chiron. It was going on at the end of May, but it also had a conversation with the North Node. This is in your Aries, happens to be your fourth house of home. So you may have been revisiting a lot of the influences that your home life had on you, your growing up experience. And the challenging part is Chiron is the wound, the chronic wound that doesn't seem to go away. And Mars here is very powerful. So there could be there could have been a hotness, a sense of, an awareness of a brooding sort of an energy that sits beneath the things that you manifest. It could be like a I'll show you kind of energy, or it could be just the opposite, where you feel just enveloped by the energy and you haven't been able to push past it. Here's the opportunity to transform the wound into a gift. And that's where you say to yourself, well, if I hadn't had that situation, I would not have been inspired to move in this situation. And that can all be reflected in the epiphanies that you have with this Jupiter, Venus, and the sun making this aspect over here to Pluto. Now, I know that Venus and the sun are out of orb for a strong trine, but at the same time, these ones are emphasizing an expansion of thought, an expansion of my philosophies and my ideologies, the things that I think, the things that I have thought traditionally are now up for review. That's the way I want to put it. We will see on the 3rd that Mercury will join the party with Venus and the sun and Jupiter in Mercury, where it is in its domicile, which means that it is strong and powerful. And we see that this combination of Jupiter and Mercury traveling together for this day or so, maybe 2 days, 3 days, there could be a real sort of, it's like the broadest ideas and the finest detail all having to merge together to tell one story. And that might be somewhat frustrating. And I say that only because the speed of it feels like, can I get all my ideas down on paper or somewhere tucked away so that I can review them later? Because they're coming at me so fast. And so I feel like very compelled to make sure I remember these ideas that come to me. We do see that Venus is feeling a little bit challenged here as the sun is eclipsing her, but at the same time, she's used to being around the sun. So this is almost offers her an opportunity to even though the sun's light is bright, what kind of structures do I want to create for myself? This growing square between the sun and Venus, ultimately Mercury will end up joining that square to Saturn. It's all about thinking about myself, my self-confidence, my history, where I've been, potentially reviewing my relationships with my family, my siblings, how that affected me, and how that takes me into my work dynamic, and what permissions my history gives me to thrive. I think that's an important one. We're going to go to the 6th, where we'll have our new moon in Gemini. That's happening at 5:37 a.m. Pacific time. Now, a minute ago, I said that Venus was feeling a little eclipsed by the sun. And yet here, with the sun and the moon coming together in the darkest phase of the moon, we see Venus really being able to dig deep into what is in her heart and to plant the seeds for that, to be mindful that her thoughts are things, and those thoughts, while they may default to a certain experience, now am I willing to allow them to move into the future? And that's where this square and a half can be slightly tense, but at the same time, Pluto is supporting Jupiter very strongly, and it's still supporting Mercury. So I think this is powerful. And I also want to continue to mention, I don't know if I said it here already, I've done a lot of videos, but Pluto is in a sextile to Neptune for the next 10 years. They'll both retrograde and then they'll move almost together. They're both very slow moving into and residing into the Aquarius and the Aries energy. This to me is spirit saying, we become aware that our thoughts are things. We start to apply the divine laws of the universe, understanding, every cause has an effect and every up has a down and every light has a dark. We start to know how to walk the landscape with more prowess, with more ability, and demonstrate that in the physical world. So this trine is going to go, this sextile is going to go on for the next 10 years plus. So I think this is a powerful, it's sitting in the outskirts. It's playing like the background, it's the soundtrack behind what's happening in your everyday experience. And as you allow that soundtrack to have an awareness, you can play that song with more prowess, with more skill, and demonstrate that. And that's what I think will ultimately be your service and your sixth house energy. We see on the 9th, I'm going to go back to 12 p.m. Mars is going to move into its fall, or I should say its detriment in Taurus. Now, this is an interesting day because the focal point here at a midday is Mars. And Mars goes from feeling fiery and powerful into having to sort of slow the roll. Where he may be riding on horseback here and traveling quickly, now he's on land and he's walking the landscape and having to really think about the things that he wants to endeavor. And this feels a bit emotional to me because this moon, while it's going to move very quickly throughout the day, it's contributing to this energy of Mars moving into this new house, feeling this new energy. So emotions come up, and they could be emotions that are historic. The Taurus naturally rules your family history and how it affected your skills and your confidence. And here we see Mars going from feeling very powerful to feeling quite less than powerful. And it's also making a square to Pluto. And Pluto and Mars are the co-rulers of Scorpio. Scorpio is naturally your 11th house. So there could very well be, this could be a very strong energy of wanting transformation and being slightly impatient to experience some evidence of it. Capricorn, you've been going through so much on an interior level that it may not even be aware of that it's actually trickling out into your physical world, your actual everyday experiences, because you've been focused on it or you've been aware of it, but you haven't seen how other people have really grabbed onto it. We see that Saturn, again, standing basically still in the sky for the most of the month of June, is making an exact square to the sun at the Libra degree of balance, cooperation, harmony, peace of mind. And now Mercury's moved much closer. So this square is going to get tighter for Mercury, and Venus is very much still in play. So this is a historic type of energy. Where have I historically thought maybe things will get better, or I've got to do it all myself? That could be the other thing, where, having this Pisces as your third house, you may think that I have to do it all. If I don't do it, it won't get done properly. And this is kind of an opportunity to maybe take a different tact than you have in the past. Now, another period of time that I think is interesting is from the 12th through about the 17th, because now we see Mercury's in that square. So this is emphasizing those themes I just spoke of. We see that Pluto is still in a square to Mars. So this has been going on for about a week and a half now, feeling a little bit of stress. These two planets are not easy planets. And when they're challenging each other, it's kind of like a fight in the family because they both co-rule Scorpio. And again, Scorpio is your 11th house of hopes and dreams. And you may be having just a wee bit of a challenge grabbing onto those hopes and dreams right now because your ruling planet Saturn is reviewing a lot of things for you. And that review is not meant to put you back in your place, but to inspire you up into a new place. So I think this is a powerful point of awareness. Now on the 17th, I'm going to skip there because this is all going to take this whole square while it's been continuing. We're going to feel it very strongly now that Mercury is in the mix, because Mercury was over here a little bit. Now Mercury is bringing everything to the forefront of my thoughts, my speech, my everyday activities. And when I go to the 17th, Venus and Mercury have moved into Cancer. And this is a warm feeling. This is a nurturing feeling. Cancer is your 7th house of partnerships. It also has the dominion over peace, cooperation, harmony, the things that feel just and fair in the world. So there's going to be a lot of focus on that for you. What is fair? What isn't fair? At this point, the transformation is making a quincunx to Pluto's energy in your 2nd house. And that quincunx is like a blind spot where you just can't see how it's going to play out. And this is the whole part of the transformation of Capricorn, is to balance the thinker with the feeler, to see the human structure and then understand on an intuitive level that that human structure is just a suit that I wear to facilitate a soul's mission. And that mission is to experience joy and happiness. So this is an interesting time because these planets are both the feeler and the thinker are coming together in the sign of nurturing and healing. There's also a bit of a tension here, and this is also midday, kind of the moon is moving through Scorpio, opposing Mars right now, and they're both making a loose T-square to Pluto. So here we have, your 12th house being lit up. I'm sorry, your 11th house of Scorpio being lit up and making an opposition to planet of action. And this here feels like it must be deliberate action. I have to slow my pace and walk the land and look at the landscape with a keener eye for things that I might have missed before. And those could be some historic, toxic thoughts. And when I say that, it's like, I'm not good enough, I'm too difficult, I expect too much. Those are poisonous thoughts. And they sometimes come from our upbringing. And so if there's anything like that coming up, that's the illusion that you get to move the fog away from as Saturn retrogrades. We're going to go to the 21st now, and we're going to see our first full moon in Capricorn. That's in your 1st house. This is happening at 6:07 p.m. We're going to have 2 of these within a month. And I think this is super powerful because for me, as I see the sun and the moon in opposition, the brightest phase of the moon illuminating my spiritual beliefs. This is the point here with Neptune making this square to the full moon, is asking, am I actually consistently applying the knowledge I have gained over the last 15, almost 20 years that Pluto's been going through my 1st house? And am I now willing to allow the transformation for that? This sextile, I think, is really, really one of the most warm and fuzzy energies sitting in the background of all this disruption. When I apply that, I know that the universe responds to my focused thought. And if I know that my focused thought is always taking me down a dark alley, then I'm going to go walk out in the sunshine for a minute. And that awareness already starts to shift the energy. And that's what I think is going on here. Venus and Mercury are still, they'll never be far from the sun, but they're still in part of this mix a little bit. My thoughts, my self-worth, how I'm nurturing myself, am I speaking the talk that I want to live? And that's why I think the focal point of this full moon is where there may be illusion or escapism, or even working yourself so hard that you feel invisible, that you're just become a cash cow for, your environment or the people around you. So this is a really powerful. And as you see this, and we go through this period of time, when we get to that 2nd full moon, because there'll be a new moon in Cancer between it. I think that this could be a real a period of time where you can reconcile the experiences and have them support your growth and your expansion versus pulling you in and tucking you into a tighter, more limiting place. Very, very powerful time. And finally, I'm going to go to the end of the month, the 29th. And this is where Saturn starts its retrograde. We see Saturn is at 19 degrees. And I really, again, these numbers hit me like gangbusters. And this 19th degree is the Libra degree. And so where am I creating balance? This is the focus for your retrograde. Within your thoughts, your speech, how you interact on a daily basis with your divinity, the divinity within your being is really what will be reviewed. And as you review that, it's not about perfection. It's not even about building something. It's about an awareness. So you're not trying to evolve to a place or ascend anywhere. I think this is about being in the present moment, and in that present moment, really feeling the value of each experience and what it offers with choices. Now, one of the other little things that I think is kind of a little bit of a challenge on the day that your ruling planet goes retrograde is that the moon will have traveled through the sign of Aries very quickly. It will have hit the North Node, and now it's having a conversation with Chiron, and it's been having one. So this could be a real wanting to emotionally get over some things. Just you may be tired of feeling any resentments or angers or harboring something that isn't moving your story forward. Again, Aries is your 4th house of home and the imprint that it left on your physical experience. So this gentility with knowing that you are naturally an emotional creature. The human may think that the brain is running the body, but it is not. The brain is a muscle that gets imprinted with a pattern. And we get to infuse conscious thought into that pattern as we season ourselves on the planet. So this might bring up a little something. But other than that, it feels like this retrograde has a lot of benefit for it, a lot of anchoring in of my spiritual beliefs, and then anchoring them into my daily experience. I also want to finally kind of wrap this up to offer that you might try, Capricorn, using your shower time or the time when you're bathing to meditate. I find that it's kind of a 2 for 1. You get to get yourself, ready for your day and clean, but you can also set intentions and then feel the water represent your emotional body and let whatever's not serving you, be washed down the drain and feel a sense of newness. And declaring that intention also helps the universe support your physical experience to anchor and root in that connection to the angelic realm, to your divinity within. All right, that's it for me for the month of June of 2024. I'll be back in July with your monthly horoscope. Please like, please share, please subscribe and comment. I read all the comments and I'm so appreciative of your viewership and sending lots of light and love to you for a fabulous June. See you soon, Capricorn. Bye-bye.